At Grand Prix Indianapolis 2012. Hello everyone, Rich Hagan, Sheldon Menery with you here for round 15, 1-5. It's the last one, and this features Mr. Caleb Durward of the United States. There he is, getting ready to rock and roll. Caleb only needs a point to be safe. He may get in anyway on 37 points. On the other side, Garrett Young getting ready to do some very, very silly things indeed in the space of a turn. Who won the dice roll? We really need to know this. It's Caleb. He begins with Misty Rainforest. 7, once again, is the magic number for Garrett. Lion's Eye Diamond. I count to 3 when I do that.
Yep.
Caleb, meanwhile, has a force of will. Interesting.
Garrett Young playing this one land Charbelcher deck, of course. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about how I thought I would be a little leery of playing in a format where 1 or 2 lands was all I was going to have.
Yep.
Because it just doesn't, you know, it feels like it's always on the edge of, it's on the brink of disaster. Playing a deck with 1 land in it.
Yeah, and now you see there's Caleb going, well, I'll turn my Misty Rainforest into, functionally, an island. Then I will return that island, and I will daze your thing, which is interesting, really, because we're in the Don't Daze Me sleeves.
Right.
For Garrett Young. Alas, Caleb did not take the subliminal messaging inherent at the table. Which I don't know whether to feel a little sad about or really rather pleased.
So among the ways that Garrett Young generates mana is one of them is right there, land grant.
Yeah.
If you have no lands in your hand, you can play it as opposed to paying its mana cost. You then search your library for a forest and reveal it, put it in your hand.
And that's the 1 land, and having got it out of the deck, that means that when Charbelcher activates, he will reveal his entire library, and that will be the end of that.
He further generates mana by Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox, Tinderwall, Simian Spirit Guide, Elvish Spirit Guide, and a Rite of Flame and Seething Song, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual. Then, of course, he gets to the Goblin Charbelcher.
Quick yes or no, Brian Kibler, Goblin Charbelcher, your kind of deck? Thank you, you can go now. Are you kidding? Are you serious? Fantastic. Oh, attack with the Simian Spirit Guide, that's what we like.
Of course, Phyrexian mana would be something like with this probe that Garrett Young makes use of. Getting a good look at Caleb's hand, sees the Brainstorm, the Chain Lightning, the very important Force of Will, the Tropical Island, the Delver, and the Tarmogoyf. There's a Tinderwall for Garrett Young. Some discussion between the two of them.
What's that card at the top? That's what Caleb wants to know.
I'll move Simian Spirit Guide again. I'll cast away.
So it's a flame. It's interesting because it is a deck that when it doesn't just kill you out of nowhere with Goblin Charbelcher, Empty the Warrens. It's really quite good against Ken.
Yeah. It's a sideboard card, but Garrett has 4 Burning Wish
Right.
in the main deck.
So there's one Empty the Warrens sitting there in the sideboard as well as main.
Yep.
Right, okay. So kill the Tinderwall. So it's not let you get the bonus mana out of that.
Kind of like bolting the bird.
Uh-huh. And we go back to Garrett,
And
who has drawn the aforementioned Goblin Charbelcher. 4 to cast, 3 and tap to activate. Wasteland your land. Just what we've been talking about all weekend. There's one land on the table.
Right.
Just moments ago, there was one land on the table, and so much had occurred.
that Tarmogoyf is sizable already.
Isn't it
I
just?
think it's a 5.
So Lotus Petal and another ritual in hand for Garrett.
And really, really all Caleb has to do is ride this Tarmogoyf all the way home.
Yeah, it's tricky though because of the Empty the Warrens that there is a chance. I mean, Garrett has a full grip again now. He is at the point where he gets to start again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a deck that absolutely doesn't basically care about the one land. So Brainstorm, is that a lightning bolt or is it a red elemental blast in
It's a red.
It is a lightning bolt, but he's found a force of will.
Mongoose changes the clock. As a matter of fact, it's now or never for Garrett Young.
Yeah, that's 7.
It's actually 8. The Tarmogoyf is 5, and then the Mongoose is 3.
No, sure. He was counting the
Oh.
counting the cards in the
Yes.
graveyard, just tiptoeing
Right.
down the line. Like, yep, you correctly counted that he has 7 cards in the graveyard. That is threshold. So here we jolly well go on the action replay from Garrett Young. Caleb says, "Okie dokie, you can have some bonus mana action. How about a Karome Ma'ot?" Boy, was I excited when I got those. That was a real chase card.
I think he pitched the Burning Wish.
Sacrifice Lotus Petal. There's the force of will from Caleb, and that is enough to stop Garrett Young in his tracks. Caleb Durward leads by 1-0.
Almost. Yeah. I know. It was a good brainstorm.
So what do you think Caleb's sideboarding plan looks like?
Sulfur elementals to make white creatures a bit smaller. I don't think so. Submerge to put creatures on top of libraries. I don't think so. Tormod's Crypt to empty graveyards. Don't really think so. Counterbalance.
We have a
I
winner.
really wish Empty the Warren Sultan's white.
That seems like it might counter many important
Gonna
things.
get Lingering Souls earlier.
Since he's divining top, would that work in combination with
It would indeed.
counterbalance?
Esper Blade?
I think those 5 cards there, the 3 counterbalance, 2 Sensei's Divining Top out of Caleb's sideboard are chicken dinner.
Right.
You see Mohawk guy there in the background?
Is that his name?
I think so.
Mohawk Guy.
Okay.
Crazy that Chain Lightning was light. It's usually just a bolt to the face.
Yeah, Sulfuric Vortex doesn't do anything either
No.
for Caleb. So we're looking at 5.
I'm pretty sure that was the best I could play.
So again, it's this the Charbelcher deck is simply a case of get it or don't, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Garrett Young's sideboard includes 4 Xantid Swarms, 4 Pyroblasts, an extra Empty the Warren, Goblin Warstrike, a Pyroclasm, Infernal Tutor, Hull Breach, Shattering Spree, and Reverent Silence.
Well, the traditional thing here is the whole Xantid Swarm, isn't it? That's the interesting one, because you just go, well, I make it for green, then I attack you with it, then there's no further interaction for you this turn, which is the plan when Belcher goes off.
Well, hopefully this is enough to get
So I guess
the
that
deck a
seems
little bit more
reasonable.
respect.
If anyone has gotten that deck any modicum of
Reverent
respect,
Silence for counterbalance points out our esteemed
Well, that
leader.
team's pretty good with it. Had some good matches against him. A really good match against him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't daze me, man.
Can't promise that.
Little chatter going on between the players. I thought it was an interesting thing when we had Tom Martell on yesterday. He was saying, at this level of play, we're pretty much all friends. If we're not friends, we're friendly.
Yes.
There's a real good rapport between the high-level Magic players. Even if they aren't folks that normally hang around together, you get to the table, point like this, it's all business once the spells start slinging. I thought it was great. I made an observation in Honolulu in the top 8 with Yelger and PV.
Oh.
And I had noticed that they weren't talking during the match. They were playing their cards, they were pointing, they're experienced enough to know what the cards do and know how to interact with each other. But there was no verbalization of any kind. Then when they were sideboarding, they were positively chatty with each other. And then once the play started again, it was all down to business.
I wonder if Caleb offers the ID here again.
Looks like he's going right into the...
It seems like something that just one should automatically do if you're... Unless you don't want the matchup. If you
Right.
want to get Belcher out of the top 8,
Yep.
which is a perfectly valid possibility, but if you're not fussed about whether Belcher's in the top 8 or not,
Right.
this seems like... Well, at the moment I have to win 1 out of 2 games to be in the top 8. Or I can win none out of no games
Right.
to play in the top 8.
Maybe we can ask Caleb later, even if we don't have him in the booth. We can pop by and ask him what his mindset was going through. Did you want to draw or not? Why not? I think one of the answers is, it's the top 8s are a playoff series, and in a playoff series, any team can get hot.
You don't want to face the 100-mile-an-hour ace Goblin Charbelcher
Right.
in the Independence League. Players still heading off for hot dogs and nachos at the ID stand, renamed from the concession stand since it's the last round.
It's part of my rhythm. I'll be on the phone. Good luck, man.
Handshake again. Garrett Young, hoping that this time Don't Daze Me will in fact occur.
Interesting line of play there as well with Caleb. Caleb knows how the Charbelcher deck works. He's not going to just save everything up to counter the Charbelcher.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to, we saw the early days, and we saw him getting rid of the Tinderwall, and we saw him countering the Ritual that would have led to the Charbelcher.
There is at least one Force of Will in Caleb's hand. You see it at the top, the left-hand card.
The second card is Stifle. There's lightning bolt there at the bottom, obviously.
So,
Lotus Petal.
Lotus Petal will kick us off.
Lotus Petal, go.
The thing is, Garrett can afford after boarding to be a little more selective about when he attempts to do things because he has 4 Pyroblasts come in, and maybe the Sanded Swarms as well. So he has the opportunity to fight a counterspell war, which he doesn't in game 1.
Right.
In game 1, he's just utterly exposed
There's
before
Chromlux.
Force of War.
Stifle the trigger.
I will
Not just for fetch lands, it turns out.
add red.
So now,
Cast Pyroblast.
Lotus Petal is going to be met create red for Pyroblast. So Garrett would really like his Chrome Mox to be something, not just a dead artifact on the field of battle.
Caleb's going to crack the fetch.
Is there more counter entertainment in the fight for the Chrome Mox? You would feel that Garrett is more or less obliged to win this fight if he possibly can, because if Caleb has another counter here and the Chrome Mox goes away, he's down a Pyroblast, a Chrome Mox, a Lotus Petal, and has literally nothing. And there is another Stifle for the original trigger. And this time it resolves. And that, despite the fact you can see a Chrome Mox on your screen, it might as well not be there. Now here's counterbalance for Caleb, beating double Stifle on the Chrome Mox. Eek.
Land grant that'll let him search for the one Taigi. Probably not going to play that until he needs it.
Right.
Because he doesn't want to risk running into, like last game, he ran into the Wasteland.
Yep. Now, you'll know this historically. Wasn't there a deck people counter top that revolved around counterbalance and Senses Divining Top? That's just like the 2 cards on screen right now.
It's exactly like.
It's
They're even in the correct order from top to bottom.
Remy Fortier would be proud. Winner of Pro Tour Valencia, of course, in 2007. Possibly the only day in Pro Tour history lost to rain.
Yes.
Clean up.
And that's just discard from Garrett. Oh boy. Not gonna lie.
Not
Garrett
looking good.
Young's mum sitting at home.
Yeah.
He's in trouble. Caleb has top and counterbalance. He has Force of Will in hand.
Yeah.
He's about to start the whole business of setting up drawers. We see Delver, and Ponder from the Ponder. There is Delver, which will begin the clock of doom.
Yeah.
Garrett has a look, then lays it down, slides it towards him, thoroughly methodical.
Clean up.
Let's go for another discount.
Of course, Caleb setting up the top of his library to know that he would be able to transform the Delver into the Insectile Aberration.
Hmm?
Pondering again. We knew that there was another Delver there. So the clock is ticking mighty speedily now.
And it opens up avenues for more. Maynard Caster, Chilbert Martel 38. Durward would go to 40 if he wins this. That would be 5 through. Winner of Jordan Corey would be at 39. Winner of Friedman Ferguson would be at 39. And that absolutely leaves the door open for probably Adam Yurchik to straightforwardly be in with a win over Alex Hatfield. Hatfield's certainly in with the win because he's already at 36.
Now, we can't discount the possibility, as we saw at Pro Tour Honolulu, natural draws in the last round,
Yes.
impacting the.
Actual straight up gods on its draws.
Draw the match.
That is a handshake. I'm sorry you didn't get to see Goblin Charbelcher in action. You're now not going to see it in action in the top 8 either. Who drew? Oh, they've taken the ID at that point. Oh wow. 1-1-1. You just about see it on your monitor. So they play out, and then Caleb says, "All right,
Maybe Caleb
you
Durwood.
can go to 37. You can potentially play in the top 8. Maybe we will see."
Well,
Belcher
after
back
the, after that look right at the match, he may feel very very confident in the matchup.
beat you handily. See in the quarters.
Yep.
Ah, interesting.
No, that'd be insane.
38, 30.